And welcome back to another episode of Jason's Game Room, the only podcast here on YouTube and quite possibly the whole internet that talks about everything gaming, from board games to dice games to video games to CCGs. I've had episodes about Pog, I've done episodes about miniatures. If it has anything to do with the world of gaming, it's going to be on this show and you're going to want to tune in and keep finding out what I'm talking about next. Now, on today's show, this was actually supposed to be an episode of the basics, but because I only have a few CCGs at my disposal from my own collection, I can't really articulate this properly on an episode of the basics, so I've turned it into a JGR podcast because it's easier for me to go on and on about it and talk about it over the airwaves than it is to actually show you. And what I'm referring to is people that mash together two completely different CCGs and try to come up with a game and then make a video on YouTube saying, yeah, this is great, everybody do this. Where to begin with that? Most CCGs do not play well together. They were never made to interchange. A lot of the universes are too radically different. And one of the videos I watched recently was a content creator taking the Star Trek CCG and the Star Wars CCG and mashing it together. And if you want to find this video, you can. It's not that hard, but it is very confusing to watch. And the content creator tries in vain to explain that, yeah, it's a great thing that everybody should do. But if you know the CCGs as well as I do, and everyone knows that I've played and owned and collected the Star Trek CCG since 1994, and I did dabble in Star Wars CCG on two separate occasions. I did play it, ended up getting rid of both my sets. I wasn't as into it as I wanted to be, but that notwithstanding, you cannot combine the Star Trek CCG and Star Wars CCG into one game, and this is just using one example. The mechanics are too radically different. And I'm not going to get into every bloody mechanic between both games, but just spaceline versus locations and sites, ships versus ships. Anyone that knows anything about science fiction knows that Star Wars and Star Warships are so completely different, it's not even funny. And for someone to try to put that together in a game and make a video about it, it was just... It gave me a headache. There's really no other way for me to put it because it's not something that should be done. Now, that being said, what you can do, and unfortunately one of the CCGs I'm going to mention is long gone now, but you could mix to a certain extent Magic the Gathering with Spellfire. They were similar in the way of casting and creatures and things like that. The difference with Spellfire over Magic is Magic was a very easy, streamlined game to use and play. Spellfire had about 4 times the rules and directives, and the mechanics were a lot more extensive. So is a reason why Magic the Gathering went crazy and Spellfire didn't. I still maintain to this day, this is getting a little off topic, that Spellfire could have been a smash hit if it was kept much simpler, but it wasn't. Anyways, you can mix Spellfire and Magic to a certain extent, mainly creatures and some simple spells. You don't want to go beyond that, otherwise it gets a little silly. But that's an example of two CCGs that you sort of can play together. Mind you, I still wouldn't. If you just want to have a quick fun game with your friends and have a few laughs, that's a good way to do it. Getting back to some of the other CCGs, and if you go over a lot of the CCGs that are out there, from Star Trek, Star Wars, Magic, you get into other CCGs like X-Files and Pokemon. Those are niche CCGs. They are meant for that market and that market alone. You cannot mix the X-Files CCG with anything else. There's no way. It's based off of a TV show that is present day at the time it was made with real world situations. You have CCGs like Pokemon that I've heard can be mixed with Overpower, but I have not seen examples of this. And again, there's another good example right there. Overpower was made from comics and superheroes. They don't really mix with anything else. you can't really do much with them in any other game. They're not meant to do that. And when I see people talking about mixing even other games, and this is another video I saw where someone was trying to mix Magic with Chaotic, that can't work. I'm sorry. And the video was both short and vague, and it seems that when some people put these CCGs together and try to create joint games, that they don't have a clue, and everything they post in their YouTube video is quite vague with hardly any information. To compare with something that's a bit more informed is when someone comes up with a solitaire version of a CCG that's able to do so. I've done that with a couple, and that is a step-by-step process, and it works within the mechanics of that actual CCG. But again, combining two radically different CCGs that have no relation just doesn't work. I've seen people try to mix Magic with Star Trek. Like, really? You're taking something from fantasy that deals with planeswalkers and wizardry, and you're trying to put it into a Star Trek universe? I'm sorry, no. That's why I get especially miffed when I see videos like these on YouTube by content creators that should really know better if they have any experience with CCGs. And the one content creator that I'm speaking of, where I've seen a couple of these videos, he seems to have experience with several CCGs, but then he delves into this mix that just makes a mess out of everything. And I've actually contacted him. I'm not going to mention his name. I'm not as mad about this guy. And he didn't offer me any information. He just says, oh, I put this with that, and you have to go by my video. But his video lacks details and information that would help anyone to understand how exactly it works, which leads me to believe it doesn't. He's just making these videos and putting them up there, trying to get more attention to his channel. It is nothing but clickbait. You will never see me do that on my channel. I talk about several different CCGs, mechanics, and items within the game. I will not mix two CCGs just to get hits. I don't understand people that do that. I wish they wouldn't. But again, if you want to take two somewhat similar CCGs on your own time and try to mash them together and have a few laughs, go for it. There's no harm in that. But like I said, don't start making videos and posting to YouTube and saying, yeah, this is the greatest idea since sliced bread. Do this. It's easy, but then don't post any details. I don't get that. That's stupid. Leave it alone. There's reasons why CCGs are in their universes and they're targeting that genre specifically. There's no need to mash them together and give people like me headaches that are trying to put out honest videos on CCGs to show people how to play them properly. I'm yelling now. I don't want to have to yell either because my microphone is awesome and I don't want to distort my show, but things like this drive me crazy, period. Anyways, that's all for today. This is a bit of a short show. I don't want to ramble on. I've already driven the point home. You get it. Leave some comments below under the video. Let me know what you think about this type of thing. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends. You can run across the street naked going, JGR, if you get hit by a car or possibly put in jail for indecent exposure. It is not my fault. Don't blame me. The little bird told me to suggest that. Where did he go? Anyways, that's all. Have a great day, everybody. And, of course, game on.